Okay. All right, let me put it in student view. So I make sure everything's visible to you all. All right, so we're in week 9 through 12. We're in week 12. So this is the last week of class. Next week will be the final exam. Be finishing up writing assignment 5 today. You should have already turned in writing assignment 4. I don't have them all posted. I will get that done after the meeting. What we're doing today is I'm going through and showing you the resources for revision, and you're going to revise according to my feedback. And then Thursday we'll continue on. So let me get to week 9 through 12. So it's research and writing. So these are all the steps that you should have completed. We are now in week 12. And so it's writing assignment 5. You're going to get your feedback on writing assignment 4. You're going to revise and edit your body paragraphs. And then on Thursday, you'll add your introduction. And writing assignment 5 will be due Sunday, December 5th. And just let me back up for a minute. Also due December 5th are your Launchpad assignments. Oh, and I didn't update that. Okay, well, I'll put that due date in there. All the learning curve assignments are going to be due December 5th also. So that's the last day that you could turn in any learning curves. So let me get back to week 12. So where you're in this top folder, this right here is just where you're going to submit writing assignment 5 on Sunday. We'll go over that on Thursday. All right, so what's in the folder? It reviews strategies for writing your intro and conclusion. That's here at the front, but you see we won't do this till Thursday. And then everything else is pretty much resources for revision. And it says to refer to writing assignment for feedback for the revisions. You'll go to My Grades and Graded, and you'll find writing assignment 4, and you'll see the speech bubble, and that's how you'll download your feedback. All right, so this, like I said, was Thursday. The first thing you're going to do when you get your feedback, you're going to upload your body paragraphs to Grammarly. Because, oh, I didn't, hang on. Let me get the rubric up here. Okay, so this is the rubric. When you download your feedback, this will be at the end. This will be after your body paragraphs. Let me zoom in. Okay, so for your rubric, these are all the categories that you were graded in. And hang on, let me close this out. And you're going to see this picture here. That's the categories. The reason this picture is here is because this tells you when you look at your rubric, you're going to see where you scored at. And of course, you're going to have my feedback comments also. But so if you scored low in these areas, this tells you which folders to go to for the resources to help you revise what you need to. So if you scored low in development of supporting details for developing your ideas from general to specific, or appeals to logos and pathos, then you need to go to folders 2 and 8. And so the folders are numbered, beginning here with number 2. I had the introduction as number 1, and so I just took that off. I didn't feel like renumbering them, so it starts with 2. So levels of organization, types of supporting details. And then you have, oh, where did 3 go? Okay, I gotta get 3 over there. 3 is going to be a link to the avoiding plagiarism lesson, and that's going to be for MLA format, so I'll get that in there. I just didn't put the link in. Okay, so overall, what you were graded on. This has writing assignment 4 and 5 on it. And the reason I did that is there's some areas that I graded that didn't count toward writing assignment 4, but it lets you see where you're at so that you can go ahead and revise and get that ready to go for writing assignment 5. And in this case, it's the explanation of your supporting details. And we're going to talk about explaining supporting details today. So I'm going to show you the folder to go to for that. It is folder number 6. You're graded on organization. That's your use of transitions and how you're connecting your ideas between paragraphs and within your paragraphs. And if you need to add transitions or work on that, it's folder 9. When I said earlier, the first thing you're going to go to Grammarly. That's why these 2 sections of your rubric will not be scored. So you're going to upload your assignment to Grammarly, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. And you're going to run the grammar check and the plagiarism detection. And you're going to score your rubric where you think you might fall for the grammar. And this is for MLA documentation, and the way that you put in your supporting details. If you use direct quotes, paraphrasing, summarizing. This doesn't count towards writing assignment 4, but I went ahead and graded you on it so you know where you're at. And folders for these, for this area, introducing and integrating direct quotes, which we went over, I can't remember what week, maybe week 7, week 6. And so that's coming back. And then we're going to talk about paraphrasing strategies today. That'll be new. And then for the in-text citations, I didn't require the works cited for this writing assignment 4. That's why it's scratched out, but it will be required on writing assignment 5. And where you go to for in-text citations is the avoiding plagiarism folder. We'll talk more about the works cited on Thursday. If you did your source notes, then you have all the information you need for your works cited. You just have to put it together. So that's the rubric. And so the reason the pictures of the categories are there is so that when you look at your rubric and you see where you're at on the rubric, you know where to go for resources. So these are all the folders. These are all, there's no assignments in these. It's just resources. And everybody is at a different place. So that's why I do it like this. So your feedback is you go to wherever you need to, depending on where you need to improve. So levels of organization and types of supporting details. That's developing your supporting details from general to specific. Introducing and integrating quotes. So these folders 4, 5, and 6, you're going to notice they say revise and include supporting details in a variety of ways. For writing assignment 4, I didn't tell you how to put your supporting details in there. When you're providing supporting details for your argument essay, there's several different ways to do it. We talked about integrating and introducing quotes. So if you use a full quote, you have to introduce it. If you only use parts of the quote, bits and pieces that are the most important parts for you, then you integrate it into a sentence with your own words. And what this tells you here too is when to use quotations. So everybody's going to need to look at the supporting details part. So I want you to make sure that you read through this before class on Thursday and you look at your feedback and you do your revisions. And if you have any questions or there's something you don't understand, that you bring those to class on Thursday. So I'm not going to sit here and read it all to you because you can read yourself. But what these are is just telling you different ways to include supporting details. And you are going to have a variety of ways. You don't want to have all direct quotes. You don't want to have all paraphrasing. You want to have a mixture. And the best thing to do is have one direct quote and one paraphrase per paragraph. That's if you have 2 supporting details. If you have 3, then you'd bring in something else. So that's what those are about. They for the introducing and integrating quotes, there's the presentation, and then there's also the examples. And then paraphrasing, we're going to talk about that in a minute. We're going to look at the elaborate and explain supporting details. We're going to go over these 2. And if you scroll down, folder 7, which is eliminating the weak verb to be, and then folder 8, which is looking at your logos and pathos. We're going to talk about those on Thursday. And I already mentioned the transitions. I think that's it. Let me make sure. All right. And then also Thursday, we're going to talk about the ratiocination. This will be the last thing you do before you turn in writing assignment 5. So that's all this week is about, is revising your body paragraphs and also adding your intro and conclusion and just getting writing assignment, your argument essay ready to turn in the final drafts by Sunday. Okay, so let me regroup. Okay, I think All right, so any questions over the organization of week 12? What's in there and why it's in there? So no assignments. It's going to be based on your feedback. You only go to the folders that you need. And if it says review in class on Thursday, that's what we're going to do on Thursday. All right, so if there's any questions, you can just unmute your microphone and ask me. Okay.
Miss Walker, did you ever get my email?
No, I have not checked my email. I was going to check it today, so if I did not, I apologize.
Okay, yeah, because I'm really behind, and right now I'm in New York, so
Okay, well, we only have this week of class left. I'll get my email and then I'll get back to you. We'll see
okay,
if we
thank
can
you.
schedule a meeting, okay?
All right.
And see what we can do, okay? All right, so what I want to do now is just go over the paraphrasing strategies, what this folder is about, and then also the explain supporting details. So like I said, you want to include your supporting details in a variety of ways. Paraphrasing is one way to do it. The best way to explain this, I'm going to download this class practice. You don't have to download it, just watch on the screen. But there's lots of details in this. What this tells you is when to paraphrase, and up here tells you when to quote. So how do you decide? Quotations, things like expert opinion, if you can't say it better than the author, if their words are particularly important, that's why I say expert opinion, you're normally going to quote. So you want to make sure and read through these and make sure that you're quoting what's supposed to be quoted and paraphrasing what's better paraphrased and summarizing what's better summarized. So let me bring up, did I download it? How did the document go? Okay. All right, so we're going to look at the paraphrasing practice. All right, this document, it says class practice. So it's got a little exercise on here that we're going to talk about in a minute. And this just quickly gives a brief definition of each one. If you're going to summarize, a summary is usually much shorter than the original source. You would summarize if you're giving a research study, because you're probably going to give the results. So that would be an example of using summary. Paraphrasing is going to be about the same length as the original quote or original source. And paraphrasing is when you take the author's words and you restate what they say, but you put it into your own words. And you have to you have to change as much of the original as you possibly can, except for terms that are important to the topic. And direct quote, that's when you're taking it word for word. You have to put it in quotation marks. And like I said, if you're doing an expert opinion, or if it's just something that is best said directly from the author, that's when you use quotes. All right, now what this has an original quote. Let me make it bigger. One page width. There we go. So this has an original quote, and then it has 3 different versions. One of them is plagiarized, one is a summary, and one is a paraphrase. And if you just glance, you can probably tell which one is plagiarized because something is missing. If you paraphrase, even though you're not quoting directly word for word, you still do have to put a citation, and the same thing for a summary. So number 1 is an example of a summary. The original quote is about 4 lines. Summary is about 2. So like I said, a summary is going to be shorter than the original, and it's only going to take the main ideas, and that's what this one does. So the original, students frequently overuse direct quotation in taking notes, and as a result, they overuse quotations in the final research paper. Probably only about 10% of your final manuscript should appear as directly quoted matter. Therefore, you should strive to limit the amount of exact transcribing of source material while taking notes. Okay, so that's a summary. Students should take just a few notes in direct quotation from sources to help minimize the amount of quoted material in a research paper. Main ideas. Number 2 is plagiarized because it doesn't have a citation and it uses too many word for word phrases directly from the original without putting it in quotes. And number 3 is the paraphrase. and it's approximately about the same length. And what they've done is they have reworded it. And what we're going to look at are strategies to be able to do this. So instead of saying students frequently overuse direct quotation in taking notes, and as a result, they overuse quotations in the final research paper. In research papers, students often quote excessively, failing to keep quoted material down to a desirable level. Okay, they did two things to reword or rephrase this into their own words. They used synonyms, and then they changed the structure of the sentence. So in the original, you could see that research paper comes at the end. Well, in this case, they made it the subject of the sentence. So that's what we're going to look at are these strategies. There's about 4 or 5 of them, and you basically use a combination of different ones to be able to paraphrase correctly. And the goal in paraphrasing is to put as much as you can into your own words unless it's integral to the topic. So for example, they kept a research paper. That's because that's what you can't change that. I mean, there's some terms you're not going to be able to change. So now I'm going to go to the presentation, and we're just going to go through and look at the techniques. And when you get your feedback, if you have quotes that are really long, then I will point that out, and I'll probably tell you, you need to paraphrase some of this. So with your feedback, I'm pretty direct about what you need to do. But if I don't have any mention of any form of any, if I don't say anything about direct quotes or paraphrasing, just go through your sporting details and make sure that there is a variety. If I didn't note it, then you're probably fine, but just make sure you verify. If you don't have a variety and you have all direct quotes, then this presentation is what you want to bring up, and it shows you what to do. All right, so tactics to rewrite something in a different way. And I'm just going to kind of go through these quickly and then let you view them as needed. Okay, so paraphrasing techniques, it's a way to rewrite something in a different way, not using the author's original words. All right, so when you paraphrase, you say the same thing in another way, use your own words, and you want to use a combination of techniques. The most common is to use synonyms and then change the structure of the sentence. But there's at least 5 or 6 different things. So you can change from a clause to a phrase. That's sentence structure. Quoted speech to indirect speech. Active voice to passive voice. Use synonyms. Change the form of the word. And then each slide is going to go into each one and give examples. So when it says a clause to a phrase, a clause has a subject and a verb. So after he studied, he is the subject, studied is the verb. A phrase does not have a subject and a verb. And most of the time it will end, the verb will end in ing. So after studying is a phrase, after he studied is a clause. So that's one easy way to kind of change sentence structure and make it paraphrased and not exactly like the original. So the example is the house across the street is new, and changed it to the house that is across the street is new. Now that one, there's still a lot of similarities, but it just, for the purpose of the examples, is just to show you the different forms between clause and phrase. Okay, quoted speech to indirect speech. That's if the original source has a quote from someone, then you take it out of quotes and you make it just indirect speech. I'm not sure when you would use this. I guess it just depends. For the most part, if it's going to be a quote that somebody's saying, that's an expert opinion, and you would probably just use the quoted speech. But this is one strategy. Active to passive. We're going to look at this when we also, on Thursday, eliminate the verb to be. And what active is the first one. So the subject of the sentence is performing the action. A hotel employee will carry your bags. So the hotel employee is acting on the bags. That's active. Passive is the other way around. The bags becomes the subject. So your bags will be carried by a hotel employee. Passive is weaker. As you can see, active is more direct. It has a specific subject, specific verb. So it's better to be active than passive. And like I said, we'll look at this more when we talk about eliminating the verb to be, because to be creates the passive voice. So on Thursday, we'll talk about this a little bit more, but it is another way to paraphrase. Synonyms. And when you looked at, I went over the strategy for writing your topic sentences, taking your reasons, restating them. And that's what we did with that, is just its synonyms. So you listed out the different words, and then you looked up an equivalent word in a thesaurus. So instead of a hotel employee will carry your bags will be carried by a hotel employee. What is this? No, great. There it goes. Okay, so instead of hotel employee, it's bellboy. So synonyms, using words that are similar to the original. Another thing you can do is change word forms, and that means instead of an adverb, make it an adjective. Instead of a verb, make it a noun. And I can remember on some feedback, specifically telling some to do that. So this is, for example, you have Grog is an accurate typist. Typist is the noun, and then Grog types accurately. So types becomes the verb. So you can change word forms when you paraphrase. All right, so this is an example of changing to synonyms. So replacing original words that mean the same. If you can't find a synonym, then actually replace the original word with the definition itself. So the thing about paraphrasing is it depends on what you're trying to put into your own words and what's there originally. That's why there's so many different strategies. The most common one is going to be synonyms and then changing the structure of the sentence. And the easiest thing to do with that is, like we looked at in that other example, was research paper was originally at the end of the sentence, so they made it at the beginning. The goal in paraphrasing is just to use as few of the author's original words as possible. So if I tell you to paraphrase, then you can come to this presentation. And the best thing to do, like I said, is combine techniques. That's what this slide is saying. So here's the original after he ate lunch. Mike took a nap after eating lunch, so that's changing the structure. And then this is using synonyms. Mike slept a little. So that's paraphrasing, and I'm going to leave it at that. So if on your feedback I indicate that you need to paraphrase some of your direct quotes, that's what I mean, is taking the original and putting it into your own words. The other thing that you're most likely going to have to work on is the explanation of supporting details. And this was the section that didn't count towards your writing assignment 4 grade, but will in writing assignment 5. It's elaboration. Elaboration is the most important part of writing an essay, because if you're not elaborating or explaining your supporting details, then you're not in the essay. Then all you have is information from sources and you don't exist. So there's lots of details here. So you're going to be make sure that you elaborate and explain and connect your supporting details to your opinion and reasons. So when you chose a supporting detail and you decided which paragraph to put it in, there was a reason you did that. And a lot of times, explanation is just as simple as that, telling me why. So if you look down here, so it starts with each body paragraph has a topic sentence. So this is topic sentence, then you have your supporting details, and then you have a concluding and a transition sentence. Part of supporting details, though, is your explanation. You're making the connections, you're putting it together. Each one of your paragraphs is supposed to have 2 different types of supporting details. So you need to connect those two, you need to relate them. You need to tell the reader, why is that here? So one thing you can do is ask these questions. So you get your supporting detail in your paragraph and then ask, so what? Why is this important to know or understand? If you can't answer that question with what you have written, then it means you haven't explained or elaborated enough. And this down here is how to revise and elaborate. This is some strategies to use. So once you select your supporting details, it's important to tell your reader why they support the reason for your opinion. You have to pretend like I'm your reader in this case, but you have to pretend like I know nothing. That I'm completely stupid and you have to explain everything to me. That's what I tell my students. Just pretend like I don't know anything. Don't expect me to make any connections. So when you use introduced quotes or integrated, or you paraphrase from a source, you still have to explain and elaborate on the connection. Why did you choose that to put in that paragraph? Why is that proving that reason? You want to try and spell out the connections you were making in your mind when you chose it. Like I said, so there's a reason you put it there. Tell me why. Um, the explanation can be before the quote, after the quote. It just depends on what works best for what you're talking about. Another thing to consider is maybe using the 5W1H questions, the who, what, when, where, why, and how, to help you elaborate. But also this list right here, this is a list of questions. Okay, somebody's waiting in the lobby. Okay, they came in. Somebody's letting them in. Thank you. So when you get your supporting details in your paragraph, and you don't know if you've elaborated or explained enough, try using some of these questions. What do I need to tell my audience about where the supporting detail came from? That is an important one for every single one. So if you have a source that you're using, you're pulling information from it, you're giving a direct quote or you're paraphrasing, you need to qualify that source. You need to say what that source is, why are they an authority, why does it matter? So remember ethos, you have logos, pathos, and ethos. Logos is logic, pathos is emotion, ethos is credibility. One of your jobs is to make sure that your audience or your reader knows that your sources are credible, and that's why you need to introduce them. Name the source, gives a little bit of information about it, who the author is. Um, so, who said the quote? Who's the author of the article? The second question, what does it tell us about the topic? What does it prove or support? When was this said or written? Why did I choose this particular supporting detail? Why did I choose? Oh, I had that question twice. I'll fix that. How will this help my argument? How does the supporting detail matter to my opinion? Why is this supporting detail interesting? Why should anyone care? And can I give a specific example to help make the supporting detail prove my opinion? And that's always a good one. If you can't think of anything else, come up with an example that elaborates on what your supporting detail was. So this is an example down here of explanation. So the green are quotes, direct quotes from the source, and the red is the explanation. And as you can see, you want it balanced. You want it balanced. Just when we looked at general and specific supporting details, and they were highlighted to give you the visual. That's why I'm doing this also. The way you want to look at it is if you have more information from sources and less of your own original ideas and words and explanations in there, you're not going to do very well in the essay because you're depending too much on your sources carrying your argument. So you want to make sure it's balanced. So here is laptops, not textbooks. Laptop computers are more beneficial than textbooks because students are more likely to complete their assignments. So that's your opinion, and the reason is after the because. So the supporting detail needs to prove that students are more likely to complete their assignments. So most students use technology such as computers and smartphones on a daily basis, whereas textbooks are an unfamiliar medium for seeking information. Students are comfortable with digital media and will more readily engage in an online platform. So that's the explanation. That's the original words of the author. Then they bring in the source. For example, a research study collected data from college algebra students using a system of both traditional paper homework and online homework assignments at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. The study found that the retention rate for the online homework sections was 86%, while the retention rate for the paper homework sections was just 58%. Right, that supporting detail is paraphrased and direct quoted. So it's a combination. And sometimes that's usually the best thing to do, especially in a case where this is a research study. So I wanted the results, but I decided I wanted to quote them because it gives specific percentages. So but it's a balance. It's not all direct quotes, it's not all paraphrasing. And then end with an explanation. So with this in mind, it only makes sense to utilize the same technology inside and outside of the classroom. So not a whole lot of explanation, but it's at least balanced. There's at least as much of the author's own original words as there is information from the source. And this last sentence is a transition. So if an assignment is given on a device a student uses consistently, I mean concluding, not transition, concluding sentence. If an assignment is given on a device a student uses consistently, then they will be more likely to complete the work, increasing student success. So this last concluding sentence, it connects back to the original opinion. So this is a good example to follow. So you have your topic sentence, and then you have some of your own explanation. Maybe you're introducing the supporting detail. You give your supporting detail. It might be paraphrased. It might be direct quoted. Combination of both is best. And then you end with an explanation and a concluding sentence. All right, so that's what explanation of supporting details is. And your feedback might just say that. It might just say explanation of supporting details. And what I mean is come over here, come to these questions and ask these questions of that section and try and explain why it connects to your reason, why it's proving your opinion, why it is good evidence. Because the arguments have evidence, but in evidence, supporting details don't become evidence until you explain it. And I think I put that in here. Here we go. So all right, so the supporting detail sentence is where I'm at, is right here. Explain and develop the topic sentence by giving the evidence, those are the supporting details, to support the claim and reason. That's your opinion and your reason. The evidence is provided as a variety of well-organized supporting details with explanation and elaboration. A variety, that means you have a fact and maybe you have an anecdote. So that goes along with your different types of supporting details. It also goes along with how you include them, direct quoted or paraphrased. So variety is always the best because your reader is going to be more engaged if you do a variety of techniques instead of all direct quotes or all summary or all paraphrasing, because your reader will get weary of the same thing over and over again. All right, so what you're going to do today, I mean, not well today, yes. I think some of you, your papers are already posted, and you're going to go to My Grades. And it probably won't show in the student preview. You'll go to graded. Yeah, no, it doesn't, because I didn't submit one for the student preview. But you'll go to graded. It'll say writing assignment 4. You'll go over here to the end. I'm sorry. You have the speech bubble. You'll click there. It's one document. So it's got your your thesis and body paragraphs with my feedback comments and the rubric. And for this round, the reason you're uploading your assignment to Grammarly is I'm not focusing on grammar. Well, for my feedback, I'm focusing on your ideas. So I'm really looking at your ideas, how you're connecting things. And so just know that when you get your feedback, that's what it's going to be focused on, is the content, not so much the structure. Because that's what we worked on for the most part at the beginning of the semester was structure. So now I'm focusing really on the content and how you're putting your ideas together. So what you will be responsible for having done by Thursday is going through my feedback and doing the revisions, uploading it to Grammarly to make sure you get the grammar done, and bring any questions you have about the feedback or any confusion with you to class on Thursday. And then on Thursday, we're going to talk about the intro and conclusion and finishing the essay up. So are there any questions now?
I'm gonna be looking out for your email, Miss Walker.
I'm going to check it right after I leave this meeting.
Thank
I
you.
promise. I will.
So what do we need to turn in before next class?
Nothing. You're just getting it revised, and then next class we're going to talk about the intro and conclusion, and you're going to add that. So you're not actually submitting anything right now. The only thing you're going to be submitting is by Sunday you'll submit the complete argument essay with the intro, body paragraphs, conclusion, 750 words. So there's no assignments this week except for that final writing assignment 5. And Thursday I'm going to have we were supposed to do conferences this week, but things got kind of behind. So Thursday I'm going to have some options. I'm going to have the conference optional. So if you want to conference with me, you can. And on Thursday I'll let you know availability and that such thing. So in case you need to meet one-on-one before you submit writing assignment 5, you're going to have that opportunity if you want to. Okay, so that's it. So your focus is my grades. It is 2:00 right now. I will have, they should be posted by 4 at the latest. I think I only have a couple left to grade. If yours is already there, then you're great. If not, just be patient. If it's not there by 5, then email me, but it should be, if you turned it in, it should be posted and graded with my feedback by 5. And then after that, it's just week 12 in the week 9 through 12 folder. So revising your body paragraphs, that's all you're kind of focusing on until Thursday. And if there's no questions, you're good to go. I did record this, and I'm going to post the recording in week 12 because since that's what it's about. And I'll also send out an announcement with a link to the recording once it's ready so that you can go back and look at anything you need to. But if you are good to go, you don't have any questions, you can go ahead and leave the meeting. And if your feedback is already there, you can go ahead and get started. And if it's not there, I apologize. It will be there by 4. And if you have any questions, just unmute your microphone and ask me. If not, then have a good afternoon. And I'm going to check my email right now. So if you email me, I will get back to you.
Can I go ahead and leave class?
Yes, you can.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.